World of Warcraft, a game of endless possibilities, ever-expanding worlds, and more than a handful of complicated systems I'm not looking forward to getting into. In the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, World of Warcraft added their expansive achievement system, and as of today, there are over 5,000 different achievements to get within this massive game. Achievements can be anything you can think of, really, from as simple as exploring the different regions of the game, to completing some of the game's hardest content, and even for finding some of the rarest items throughout the world. And that's just to name a few. And our goal is to get every single last one of them. But for now, welcome to the Achieve A Lot series. Alright everyone, welcome to the channel and to the new series. I want to start by saying this is my first dive into any sort of YouTube video creating, so it may be a little rough around the edges, but we'll get through it and I'm hoping to learn a lot along the way. For this series, I've created a brand new Battle.net account to get a fresh start into the world of World of Warcraft and to more or less make a story out of the journey along the way. The ultimate goal of the series will be to get all the achievements within the game, a task that is known to take years and years to complete due to things like time-gated progress with daily and weekly quests, seasonal holiday events throughout the calendar year, and for having some monumentally lengthy grinds across the game in general. Like I said, this is a new account, meaning I have played WoW on and off from time to time, but 90% of this will be new to me. To get things started, I have decided to roll a druid to start off the account with, mostly for the general mobility and overall faster movement the class provides with things like cat form and travel form, so this will probably be my most played character throughout the journey. But in the long run, I'll have to make all classes and multiple races for things like the Legion Order Hall campaigns, max level achievements, and allied race unlocks as well. But that pretty much summarizes everything to get started, so without further ado, let's get rolling. So to get things started, I just want to say that in all my time of playing WoW, I actually have not made a new character since around Legion's release, so this is my first time having to play through Exile's Reach. And while I would like to say it's honestly a pretty well done introduction to brand new players of the game, it's not necessarily super interesting from a gameplay perspective, so to start off, we're just going to take a minute to talk about a few details on the series, while the gameplay footage plays in the background. First things first, a bit of a behind the scenes item. I had most of this first episode done a few weeks ago, and then I broke the microphone I was using on accident, so I had to get a new one, the one I'm currently using, and it is much better quality. And I was in this weird spot where I wanted to record all of the voiceovers again, so it was in this much better quality, but didn't really want to start the whole video over. However, about a day later, the editing software I was using at the time decided that it wanted to destroy my entire project and made me start over from scratch anyways. So now I'm using a much better software, and everything is recorded with my new mics, so it all kind of works out in the end. But one of the main things I wanted to get addressed before anything else is that I have a very rough idea of how things will play out from the start, like leveling and questing achievements. That stuff is pretty obvious, but something I'm not 100% sure of is how the collection achievements will come into play, mostly mounts and toys to be specific. There are several achievements tied to collecting a certain number of collectibles, and I'm not certain how far down the rabbit hole I need to go when it comes to the grinds for those items. For example, the highest tier achievement for collecting mounts is to obtain 500 of them, but is there enough easy to obtain mounts to achieve that, or do I need to grind the super rare drops like Ashes of Alar or Invincible to get that many? I really have no idea, and I feel like trying to get some sort of strategic, super in-depth game plan for this account kind of ruins the fun to some degree. So down the way, some of the grinds I go for will definitely not be optimal by any means, but we'll get to that when we get to that. One thing I did want to point out about Exile's Reach is a super cool mini dungeon that you go through at the end of the questline. It's super basic, but teaches you some simple boss mechanics and honestly is pretty well done as an intro to what the game has to offer as far as bosses go. Just a small thing I wanted to highlight on my end. After a bit of progress through the Exile's Reach campaign, we turn in a couple of quests and come to the moment that officially kicks off this account. And there we are, the first achievements on the account, level 10, and nowadays that also brings the Fast and Furious achievement since you unlock your first mount at level 10, and thus officially marking the beginning of the journey. With the intro campaign completed, we ride the Wyvern to the great city of Orgrimmar where the actual game begins. We watch a brief cutscene with an introduction to the Horde and are let loose into the city, and with one final quest turn in, the tutorial section is complete, and with it, the Exile's Reach achievement is ours. As we progress through a few introductory quests, we take a quick tour of Orgrimmar with the help of our goblin friend and end it by getting our very own Windrider mount, our first collection item of the account. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually fly until level 20, but it's still our fastest way of getting around at this point, so it will come in handy for now. We then visit the Druid trainer to learn about specializations, and of course we go with Feral, as we'll want to spend as much time as possible with increased movement speed during the adventure. It's something I actually didn't know about making new characters nowadays, but when you pick your specialization, you immediately get a handful of your key abilities right after picking the spec. A very nice quality of life change that gives you a much better feel for each spec right off the bat. instead of having to play it for 40 levels just to find out it's not for you. We then make our way over to the nearest inn to complete a quest, and the game presents us with a choice. A message from a Tauren named Abyssian automatically appears on the screen and requests that you join him in the Dragon Isles, which would begin the quest line to a more recent expansion, Dragonflight. However, a very nearby quest giver wants you to continue the story of the Exiles Reach campaign and jump directly into a less recent expansion, Battle for Azeroth. At this moment, I am unsure what our leveling path will look like, but we have a few other areas to check in on around Org for now anyways, so we'll come back to that in just a bit. So around this point, I was messing around with some audio settings in-game and in the recordings, and I happened to run by the barber and decided to pick a different color for my cat form appearance, and that ended up being a total blunder because I was not recording, and I did not realize that the shave and a haircut achievement unlocks when changing any appearance, and not just when you change your actual hair. So basically, I've already ruined the series, so... Obviously, I'm just kidding. And surely I'll learn from that and not make that same mistake again, right? Right? We make our way through the city, collecting all of the quests we can. We swing by this druid circle and get the task to go to Moonglade. Needless to say, this will not be our first priority. We also speak to this orc child who asks us to retrieve some balloons for him in exchange for our first companion pet. During our balloon hunting escapades, we make a quick detour to this hut to pick up our first two professions, which for a druid, we will go with classic combo of leatherworking and skinning. We'll get more in-depth professions down the way, as achievements for those really ramp up in the later expansions, but just know that I'll be working on leveling the professions simultaneously with our actual level. We also make our way to the upper level of the drag to quickly grab the cooking profession, which again we'll slowly work on during questing and leveling and all that. However, something to note is that there is a couple achievements we need to talk about here. The Let's Do Lunch Orgrimmar, Thunderbluff, and Undercity achievements are earned by doing daily quests in their respective cities from the cooking trainers. There's 5 different daily quests you can get at random from each city, and you earn the achievement for doing all 5 of them. So while this is super simple, there is some randomness to it, but they shouldn't take too long overall. There is also a meta achievement, a bunch of lunch, earned by getting all 3 of the Let's Do Lunch achievements. And on a very similar note, there's also a fishing equivalent of basically this exact same task, the fish or cut bait achievements, ultimately earning us the Gone Fishing achievement too. As we circle back around and complete our first cooking daily quest, we unlock the Cooking Award achievement for getting our first Epicureans Award. Now, Epicureans Awards are a currency that are used to buy cooking recipes from the sous chef vendor located next to the cooking trainer in most major cities. We will be doing the daily cooking quest regularly even beyond the Let's Do Lunch achievements, as there are also achievements for learning X amount of recipes, as well as cooking the recipes learned from different expansions. And if you look at the in-game description of the currency, apparently I'll even be able to buy a fine hat at some point with these, which also comes along with its own achievement, so we'll be snagging that eventually too. We circle back around to turn in the balloons we collected for the children, and we receive our very first companion pet for our hard work. Naturally, it is but a simple balloon with the Horde logo painted on it. But as this orc child gets carried away from the world, Driftloon style, let's talk about battle pets. The battle pet system was added in the Mists of Pandaria expansion back in 2012 and is World of Warcraft's Pokemon-style turn-based battle system where you use pets obtained through various means to battle other pets throughout the world. The battle pet system is one of WoW's more or less permanent systems that is constantly being updated almost every patch, even to this day. The most common way of obtaining battle pets is from fighting and capturing them while exploring WoW's various zones, but pets can also be obtained through loot drops, quest rewards like we just got, professions, and many other means as well. That being said, as of this video, there are currently 247 achievements directly obtained through the battle pet system, arranged in 3 different main categories: collect, battle, and level. Just like the rest of the game's achievements, these can vary vastly in the range of difficulty to obtain and also the amount of time it may take to achieve said goals. I could talk about the specific subset of achievements for about 10 minutes, but I'd rather keep it short for now and delve deeper as progress for these achievements become more apparent throughout the journey. But same as a few items so far, I will be working on this during the leveling journey to get some progress started. And to kick off the battle pet achievements, we add our Horde balloon to our journal and unlock the Can I Keep Him achievement. Naturally, we're going to have the balloon accompany us going forward. Heading back into the Valley of Honor, we swing by the fishing trainer to pick up, you guessed it, the fishing profession. We also pick up our first of the Orgrimmar fishing dailies to start making some progress on our first fish or cut bait achievement. While we witness this epic footage of me looking for the fish to complete said fishing daily, there's something else we need to talk about when it comes to the classic fishing daily quests. While the cooking quests have the Epicureans reward currency for completing them, the fishing dailies went a different route and instead reward you with a bag of shiny things. The bag of shiny things contains many items randomly, including potions, fishing buffs, and some random junk, but there are a few things we would like to see from these as soon as possible. The highest priority item we're looking for is the Weatherbeaten Journal, an item that allows us to have fishing pools appear on our minimap, which is not only super handy, but also immediately grants the Fish Don't Leave Footprints achievement. There's also a few collection items we would like to receive from the bags, those being the cooking recipe for Captain Rumsey's Lager and also the Strand Crawler Battle Pet. And lastly, there are 2 different rare fishing poles we can receive, the Bone Fishing Pole and the Jeweled Fishing Pole, which both provide plus 13 to our fishing skill, a buff that would be nice to have in general. At this point, I had been fishing for about 10 minutes and still had not gotten the quest item, which typically they are fairly common, and then I realized I hadn't used the bait you have to apply to catch this specific fish for the quest, and that is why you should always at least glance at the quest text, folks. After realizing my fishing blunder, we head back to turn in the quest and receive our first bag of shiny things, which gets us garbage. Never lucky. We head back to the upper level of Orgrimmar to swing by the Battle Pet Trainer and officially unlock the ability to use Battle Pets, and we also snag the Brown Prairie Dog pet while we're here. Since the Horde balloon that's been accompanying us can't actually battle, it's technically considered a companion pet, which means the Prairie Dog is our first official battle pet of the account. We then descend back down to the lower level using some unconventional means to quickly unlock the Going Down achievement for falling 65 yards without dying. This is actually made much easier with the reduced fall damage that the cat form experiences, so choosing to start with a druid has helped us out once again. We make a quick detour back to the cooking trainer to earn some early cooking skill points by slamming out a whole bunch of spice bread. We then grab a few extra recipes we can now learn to make sure we can continue working on cooking once we get to our first leveling zone. The last thing we do before heading to our first leveling zone is work on the few entry quests into the Battle Pet system. I won't bore you with the details, but here's a quick rundown of what my plan for Battle Pets is going to be for the immediate future. As I work my way through zones while leveling, I'll of course be working on a few Battle Pet levels, but the main thing I'm looking for is to capture all of the zone exclusive Battle Pets as I quest through their respective zones. For example, the Turquoise Turtle Battle Pet can only be found in the Azshara zone, so I will be finding one while questing in Azshara. I will also be farming them until we get a rare quality one, just so I don't need to worry about upgrading the quality of all the pets later down the road. But for now, here's a few quick highlights from this Intro to Battle Pets questline. First of all, we unlock the Novice achievement for leveling our Prairie Dog to level 3. We then receive an uncommon find for capturing an uncommon quality battle pet. We also received the Just a Pup achievement for leveling our Prairie Dog buddy to level 5. We receive another Collect category achievement, that was close, for catching a battle pet with less than 5% health remaining. And lastly, we receive a rare find for capturing our first rare quality battle pet. With everything in Orgrimmar settled for the time being, we head towards our first leveling zone, which I decided to just keep it simple and roll with the classic zones to start, so we will be heading to Azshara. I thought about it quite a bit, and after some consideration, I decided this would be the best play for the account. I'm not necessarily in a rush to get to max level by any means, and I'm going to have to go through all the zones in detail at some point for many different reasons anyways, so I figured I might as well rock through at least a few classic zones to start the leveling process. So something I don't want to do with the series is get too in-depth with the questing itself. This is a series about achievement collecting, not about retelling WoW's storylines. Naturally, we will talk about some quests very briefly, especially quest lines worth highlighting, which Azshara actually has a couple worth mentioning, but yeah, just laying that out from the get-go. Speaking of Azshara, let's take a quick look at what achievements we'll be looking at specifically for this zone. The obvious ones are Explore Azshara and Azshara quests. Explore Azshara is earned by uncovering the whole map of the zone simply by entering all the unique named areas on the world map. Easy enough. Azshara quests is also pretty self-explanatory. That is earned by completing all of the named questline chapters specific to the zone. Those two achievements are basically the exact same for every zone in the game, so they will not be mentioned again in the zone overviews going forward. For the Azshara specific items, as previously stated, the Turquoise Turtle is a unique battle pet for the zone, so we'll be snagging a rare quality one while we're here. Azshara has no dungeons to complete, collectibles to get, or reputations that unlock, so nothing to say on those for this one. There are, however, a few bonus achievements to unlock. Joyride is earned by riding the Rocket Raceway from one end of the zone to the other, and the last three achievements in the zone are Glutton for Fiery, Shadowy, and Icy Punishment. These are earned by completing certain objectives during the trials of one of the quest lines later in the zone, and we'll get those addressed in detail when we get to those quest lines. After a short time in Azshara, we wrap up the first quest line in our first leveling zone, and upon turn-in receive two things, the first being the 50 quests completed achievement, the second being a realization that they at some point changed the way pre-Mists of Pandaria zone achievements work. They used to say complete X amount of quests in X zone, with no sense of guidance whatsoever. When Mists of Pandaria came out, they introduced the chapters style of questing, where a handful of quest lines are tracked in the quest log for the respective zone that you are in. This change helps us out a lot and keeps the zone-specific quest achievements much more linear and easier to figure out what we may be missing if we were to come up short at the end of some zones along the way. After a bit of questing throughout the zone, we meet this very peculiar NPC. She is a dinosaur named Subject 9 that we can speak with that has been scientifically modified to be super intelligent. Subject 9 asks us to upgrade the rocket near her so that it can be used for transportation between planets. She instructs us to obtain the secret rocket plans by defeating the lab director who has designed this area. And after returning the rocket plans, she also asks us to release some of her children from the cages and return them to her so that they can be used to repopulate their race on whatever distant planet she is hoping to reach. Upon completion, we can watch them ascend and wish them well on their way. This is one of the quest lines I wanted to highlight in this zone. Although it's very short, it tells quite the story and also shows off some of the humorous writing that WoW has to offer. We're about halfway through the zone at this point, and we hit a much awaited milestone for the account, reaching level 20. This of course grants the level 20 achievement, but also brings with it the Into the Wild Blue Yonder achievement for acquiring the flying skill. And with us being a druid, that means we immediately get the flying version of the travel form and gain access to even more mobility. Reaching level 20 also unlocks us the fledgling Hero of Warcraft Feat of Strength, but since feats of strength are usually earned from timed events and are not fully tracked, we won't be talking about those in detail for this series. Moving right along in the zone, we come to the beaches where we begin the hunt for our very own turquoise turtle. Like I said previously, we are going to be hunting for a rare quality version of all the wild battle pets that we get, which from what I've found online seems to be about a 1 in 10 chance of occurring. The battle pet quality does not change upon exiting battle and only rerolls when the pet respawns, so unfortunately every time we encounter a turtle that isn't rare quality, we do have to put it down in hopes of a rare quality one respawning next time. And after about 15 turtle checks and 14 less turtles on the beach than when we started, we finally find our rare quality one and capture it with ease. Our one and only battle pet needed from the zone is ours, and alongside it comes the catfight achievement for winning our 10th pet battle. We then head back to the quest hub on the beach to turn in a few completed items and in doing so obtain the 100 quests completed achievement. We turn in a few more completed quests and hit level 22, which earns us the teleport to Moonglade spell. Moonglade is a small zone in the northern part of Kalimdor that acts as a sort of druid hub zone. We received a quest in Orgrimmar to go there, and now that we have a teleport directly to it, might as well head that way. While there isn't a ton for us to do here right now, we pick up a couple of dungeon quests that we'll get to later down the road, and also do a quick flyover to obtain the Explore Moonglade achievement. That's all we've got here in Moonglade for now, so we cast the Moonglade teleport spell once again and return to Azjara to continue the questing. As we come to the end of our first zone, we finally come to the Archmage's Island trials, the trial of fire, shadow, and ice, each with their own respective achievement. Each trial is a minigame of sorts that you have to get a high enough score in to complete the quest. The shadow trial instructs us to lead shades from the portals they spawn from onto the runes on the ground without allowing them to reach us. The quest allows us to make mistakes and continue our progress, but that is not the case for the achievement associated with the trial. The Glutton for Shadowy Punishment achievement requires us to kite 20 shades over runes without allowing even one to reach us. It sounds pretty simple, but it actually proved to be quite frustrating, as a lot of the times you would have the perfect line on a shade and it would seemingly just ignore the rune and come hit you anyways, requiring a restart. After a handful of failed attempts at the achievement, we end up completing the Shadow Trial quest and decide to bail on the achievement for now and move on to the Fire Trial. The Fire Trial is actually the easiest of the 3 quests and achievements. I kinda jumped into this one, and as soon as I figured out the objective, got the quest and the achievement done at the exact same time. In the Fire Trial, there's a bunch of circles on the ground that cast an AoE fire blast every few seconds, and your objective is to find the ones that are not going to shoot fire and stand on them, and then move to the next safe zone as well. Do this 10 times in a row and the achievement is obtained. Finally, we have the Ice Trial. The Ice Trial has 3 ice orbs that shoot out cold wind around them, and also has runes on the ground that shoot out ice spikes if you step on them. There are small ice orbs around the arena, and you must collect 20 of them without getting hit by the wind or the spikes to earn the achievement. The hitboxes on this one are also a bit janky, and after a few minutes of attempting to complete this cleanly, I ended up opting to just using travel form to fly in and grab an orb, fly back out, and come back in to grab another when I know for sure I could get it without getting hit. Is this cheese? 100% yes. Did I still obtain the achievement? You already know. After completing the Ice and Fire trials, we head back into the Shadow trial to give that achievement another shot. And I'm not sure if my progress towards the 20 didn't reset properly when I failed it last time, but for some reason the achievement triggered at a combo of 12 shades. Another example of how janky these trials have been, but hey, I'm not mad about it. With the trials finally all said and done with, we return to the main island with a new destination for the portal. We step through to Xylan's tower and are sent to the last area of Azshara, and immediately unlock the Explore Xara achievement. After a bit more questing, we finally come to the last chapter in the Azshara storyline. This final questline is very much so just your basic Horde versus Alliance, which back in the day was all over the place, and it's nothing too special. A quick vehicle section and finishing it off by asserting dominance over the Night Elves by taking the head of their commander. And with our final chapter completion, we earn the Azshara Quests achievement. With this achievement earned, we accept one last quest in the zone that directs us into the next zone to the west, Ashenvale. We won't be heading there quite yet, as we are going to take a slightly different leveling route for the time being, but we still have one last thing to do in Azshara while we're here. As I mentioned at the beginning, there is one more achievement we need to obtain, Joyride. And to do that, we head to the southern end of the Rocket Way and jump on for a leisurely ride across the entirety of the trek to the northern end. As we ride along the Rocket Way and finish out our first zone of the journey, I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching and making it this far. Like I said at the beginning, this is my first dive into anything video creation ever, and it's taken me way longer than originally anticipated to put this first episode together. Hopefully it's been enjoyable to watch at least. I'm assuming I will get better and faster at editing and would like to say I'll have another episode out within a few weeks, but we'll see what ends up happening. Maybe putting that out there will give me the kick in the butt I need to actually sit down and work on this project. But anyways, thanks again for sticking around. If you have any feedback, I'd love to read about it in the comments, and if you enjoyed the watch, please like the video and subscribe to see whenever I put out the next episode. After a lengthy trip, we come to the end and earn the Joyride achievement. And with that, we have officially 100% completed Azshara's achievements. One zone down and many, many more to go. Well, there we have it. The first episode of the series has come to an end. Thank you again to everyone that stuck around, and even to those who gave it a shot and decided it wasn't for them, even if they won't hear this part. This has been super fun to make, and I'm looking forward to where we go from here. Here's wishing everyone a wonderful life, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.